Let's do this thing. I'm really excited to get into it. I have built this really cool life for myself that is allowing me to out earn what I was making as a travel nurse, but only working like 15 hours a week. And I don't have a huge following. I don't have a fancy website. I don't do any of the DM spam, icky sales tactics. It's not really me, never really has been. I tried to like fit into that mold at one point and created a lot of misery for myself in my business. And I'm just no longer willing to create anything that doesn't bring me to life. And so I really started leaning into this new model that we're going to cover in this video. And a lot of what I've started focusing on is exactly this: it's solving valuable problems for real people, developing community and connections, and just being me. And the more I've leaned into these things, the infinitely easier life and business has become for me. And so, really, what I want to walk you through is how I have taken the small audience that I do have, the small following, and brought them in to become community members. That a lot of them have then gone on to become clients of mine. Now, the cool thing about this is, even if they didn't become clients of mine, they're people that are now in my community. And it's so cool to share in what we have. Today I got a text of two of our community members that just met up in New York. And I get these texts like very often now, like pictures of people that have met up together that are like, Micah, look, we hung out in person. And it is so cool to see that even if nothing came of it for me financially, what is coming of this is fulfillment. It is joy. It is passion. It is so exciting for me to be living into a model like this, because community has always been really at the core of like everything that I've done in my life. I grew up in a very, very tight knit community. And while I don't necessarily agree with all the parts of my upbringing, something that I did learn is how to bring people together and create really strong connections around a shared mission and vision. And so I want to share with you how, if you're looking to build a business that doesn't require all this other shit that we talked about, the huge following, the fancy websites, DM spamming people, or weird, icky sales tactics that you're just not really that comfortable with, I want to share with you maybe a different way of doing things and a different way of you actually being able to show up, be yourself, get in connections with people, and share something that can actually help them solve a real problem that they are more than happy to pay for. And so I'm going to go through something. It looks a little bit like this, and we'll kind of go through that together. But I do want to cover a couple of things that are, I believe, required before any of this can actually work. And the first one is self-belief. If you don't actually believe that you're the person to be doing this work, that you have this mission and vision that you're behind, and you deeply believe in that as well, this is going to be really hard for you. I think people feel passion. And there's this cool quote that I love that when we light ourselves on fire with passion, people will come from miles to watch us burn. I think that's really true. I think the thing that people have said time and time and time again coming into my world is the thing that really drew me to you was your energy and your passion. And so the more lit up you are in the work that you're doing and why you're doing it, the easier it will be to bring people into your world, to attract them into what you're up to, and to then be able to convert them into paying clients. Now, some people will take time with that. Some people might need to be warmed up for longer than you're actually comfortable with. You wish that you meet them today and tomorrow they're a client, but that's not always how it works. But what people will see and what will impact them and leave lasting impressions is the passion that you show up with day in and day out. And if you stay in your lane with the thing that you're meant for, your zone of genius, the mission that you have, and you just really go full speed ahead with that, people will notice. You will be impossible to ignore. So that's the first thing. The second thing is solid offers. And what I mean by that, I have other videos that talk about this, so feel free to go check those out. I just think it's really important that you have clarity around your dream client who you're looking to serve, and clarity around an offer that they would actually be willing to invest in. Many of us stay in la la land for way too long. We are in the abstract. We're not super clear on the exact problem that we solve. And that's actually part of the problem. That's why people aren't buying the thing that we are offering, because they don't even know what's on the other side of that experience with you. We're still using words like, I am here to help burnt out women. And it's like, cool, but with what? And like, what's on the other side of that? What's the offer? Or I'm here to help people live their best lives. I have no idea what that means. I'm here to help people feel their healthiest. It's like, we got to get so clear on exactly what we're helping people with. Otherwise, there will not be enough trust built because there's no real understanding. There's no like psychological safety net of, okay, on the other side of working with this person, I know that I will be this new version of me and it will look and it will feel like this. So, for example, you could say, I help people look and feel their best. Or you could say, I help stay at home moms lose 15 pounds without hitting the gym every day. One of those is more clear than the other. And I bet you could guess which one it is. So, the more clear we are on who we serve and how we help, the more people will know if this is the right thing for them. And then we'll create deeper resonance with them around sharing not just the results that we help people to get, but things like our values and our stances and the ways that we see the world. And all of that plays into this, but it's really important that it's on the foundation of a really solid offer that has been validated, by the way. And you can validate an offer by creating somewhat of like a beta program. We won't get too deep into this stuff, but if you create a beta program, run it at a low cost, make it a complete no-brainer for people, and you have people signing up, great. You've just validated it a little bit by showing that people are willing to at least pay something to experience this. If you try to run a beta offer and you have absolutely no bites, there's something to look at there. Either your offer is not what people want, or the positioning and messaging around it is maybe deviated from the core outcome and it's not really clearly articulating what's going to happen when they actually experience it, or you're not in front of the right people, in which case we need to start getting the offer in front of the right eyes. So it would be silly for me to have an offer for stay-at-home moms, but all of my audience are firefighter men. It's like, well, that's not the audience that I'm looking for. So of course they're not biting. Of course I don't have interest. So it's either one of those three issues. Usually with people, it's just that they don't have a solid offer. And that's usually the very first thing that I work on with folks when they come into my world. That is a requirement for the rest of this to work. Otherwise, people have no idea why they should pay you. The second or third thing, rather, is social proof. And this is a huge trust builder. So the more you get results for people, and if you don't quite have enough social proof yet, if you don't have any social proof yet, focus on getting that. Before anything else, focus on working with some people for free or for a really low cost to help them get the results so that you can use that as like marketing material, essentially, where you can show people, I help people go from point A to point B, and you can trust that I do that because I've done it for this person and this person and this person. You can point to all these different stories and case studies that build trust in the thing that you're saying that you can help people to do. And then lastly, enrollment/invitation skills. If you don't know how to invite people into a paid container with you, this is also going to be really hard. It's going to be hard to create a profitable business if you haven't developed that skill set yet. Again, this is all stuff that I work with people around, but it's really important that you look at these things and you can have an honest evaluation of where am I at with all of these? Where am I at with self-belief? How solid is my offer? Does it speak to a real problem that I can help solve for a real person? And do I have social proof to back that up? And then do I have some really dialed in enrollment and invitation skills? Now, if you have all of those, then this community catalyst funnel, or I don't know, I kind of want to change it to like community, I don't know, I'll work on the name. It doesn't really matter. But the idea is that people go from complete stranger to paying client through this journey with you. The very first thing that we need to think about is awareness. How do people actually become aware of who you are and the work that you do? And the way that we're going to do that is by creating traffic. This is where we become impossible to ignore. Tons of different ways that you can create traffic, one of which is content. You don't have to create content. You definitely don't need to do that to have a successful business. I've helped people get to over 10K a month without really having any social media presence at all. And all she really focused on was networking. All she really focused on was just building really strong connections in her local community. You can totally do that. Content is just a nice way to reach more people without having to be somewhere else. So there's a trade-off for everything. You need to think about the kinds of trade-offs that you are willing to accept for the business model that you want to create. For this person that I helped out, the trade-off was that most of her weekends were spent at networking events. Now, she didn't have to be on social media all the time, which was awesome, but she did have to be going to a lot of these events to continually like build up a reputation and build more awareness of who she is and the work that she does. If you want to have a social media presence, be able to reach more people all over the world, content is a great tool, and that can create traffic. It can build awareness around who you are and the work that you do by you just posting stuff online that resonates with the right people. The next thing is DMs. I think this is where we start to get proactive. You do not need to DM spam people. You do not need to pitch things off the bat. Please don't do any of that. I am not about that. I will never condone that. I think it's so annoying, and I'm willing to tell people that do that to me, you're really annoying and this is not working, because I'm just so adamantly against it. But one of the things that you can do is just connect with people, not in a weird way, not in a salesy way, not in a like pitchy way, but just like, yo, you seem like a rad human. Like, tell me what's going on in your world. I do a lot of voice notes. I do a lot of personalized voice notes and looms. This is, by the way, if you're unsure what a loom is, I'm literally recording this on Loom. It's a screen sharing app, where you can record a video of yourself and also your screen. Sometimes I'll do that to provide like helpful, personalized insights to people around a certain thing. If I see they commented on a Facebook group with a certain question and it would be helpful for me to share my screen to help them out or to answer that question, I'll do that. I am going above and beyond to try to connect with people on just a real human and valuable way. I want to show up and provide as much value as I can for people by answering questions and giving people tips and sharing resources, whatever I can do to be, once again, impossible to ignore. Some of this is going to come by you just being proactive, getting involved on Facebook groups or on Instagram pages where you know your ideal clients are spending their time. Go hang out there. Be impossible to ignore in those spaces. Maybe it's networking groups. Be impossible to ignore in those spaces. Ads are also another way that you can drive traffic to the work that you do. You don't have to run ads, and there are plenty of people that have created multi-million-dollar coaching businesses, and they have never run an ad before. You do not need to do this. It is a nice to have, not a must have. So understand that all of these play into creating traffic, getting more eyes on your stuff, and creating awareness around who you are and the work that you do. When you have people coming into your world, you can then bring them into community. This is where things start to get fun. Most people talk about generating traffic. Not a lot of people talk about bringing that traffic into a community. A lot of the times, the traffic just stays in your Instagram following or on your Facebook pages, and it doesn't really go anywhere because there's nowhere for them to get warmed up to you, to learn more about you, to hear more about your story and who you are and how you show up for your community. And that's the beauty of community, is like, number one, the thing that I talked about earlier, which is that even if they never become paying clients, they are in your world and you're getting to have all these beautiful connections with amazing human beings. But the other cool thing about this is there's so many different opportunities for them to get warmed up to you inside of a community platform. I use Skool, and I'll drop a link in the description with my like affiliate code through Skool if you guys happen to be interested in using Skool to start your own community. But you don't have to use Skool. There's plenty of other opportunities for you to build community on other platforms. I've even played around with the idea of like encouraging some of our clients that maybe don't want to use Skool to just use like a WhatsApp group and bring people into that. It's just the idea is that you have some place to connect with people on a more consistent basis. Not everybody sees all of your posts on Instagram. Not everybody sees all of your stuff on Facebook or on TikTok. We want to have ways where we can consistently and more intimately engage with our audience. And I think that's why community is a beautiful way of being able to do that. You can use Circle, you can use Kajabi, you can use Skool. I think there's one called Mighty Networks. I can't vouch for any of those outside of Skool because I've been with Skool for a while now. And at one point have been an ambassador for them that was helping them run some ads and things like that. So I'm a huge, huge fan of Skool and am intimately connected with the founder and things like that. So understand and take all of this with a grain of salt that I am biased towards that platform. But I love it. There's obviously a bunch of different features, but just to cover a few, Skool has a classroom tab. They also have a calendar tab where you can host live events within the community. If you want to see what that looks like, just for you to kind of get an idea here. So this is inside of my community, Nursepreneur Lab. And you'll see we have the community tab where people can share wins, they can make posts, they can ask questions, and a lot of people introduce themselves here. We celebrate birthdays. This is also the difference in community. Like who else has like platforms like this, like Instagram, where you're sharing and celebrating people's birthdays. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the cool thing about community is people are intimately involved with one another. We know each other's birthdays, etc. So this is the community tab. The classroom tab is where we have some free resources. I have a free mini business course in here. There's some other goodies in here. You can set up your community to give people some free or even paid resources. Some of these are paid, so people have the opportunity to experience the free resources. And if they want to buy some of the other things that I have that are low ticket offers, they can do that and build trust with me in that way. And that's my classroom tab. And then in the calendar tab, we have, again, birthdays, we have any events that we have going on. Sometimes we host sandbox sessions in here where our community members can practice a workshop or a presentation that they want to give to their audience, but maybe they want feedback on it first. And so we'll do these inside of the calendar tab. This is school. Like, this is kind of it's like an all-in-one platform. So again, that's why I really love it and find a lot of use out of it. You can also go live in here, which is really cool. So I could talk about school forever. I'm not going to get super deep into the nuance of school. The whole idea here is that it is a platform where you can bring people together in community and warm them up to who you are and the work that you do through all of these different touch points. And what we really call that is lead nurture. So we just talked about lead generation and how to build up some awareness around who you are and the work that you do by driving traffic to your page. And this is where we not just generate the leads, but actually start to warm them up to us inside of the community. We might do that through course content as they're consuming some of the stuff that I showed you guys in the classroom. We might do that through live calls that we host in the community, maybe workshops, maybe just coffee hours and hangouts. I've done plenty of those in the community as well, where it's like, I don't really have a topic that I want to share. I just want to hang out with you guys and hear what's going on in your world today. Beautiful opportunity to warm people up to you. And again, not just as the coach or the business owner, but also as a human being. Like, people don't just buy from businesses, they want to buy from humans. They want to feel intimately connected to where their money is going. I think maybe now more than ever, with the progression of AI and all of this stuff, is just disconnecting us so much from our humanity that I think people are really craving that. The next thing you can do is offer one-on-one calls in the community, especially when you're first getting started. You might offer a one-on-one call to just hear about the challenges that people are having. Do some market research, do some value trade calls where you're like, hey, if I can just get 15 or 30 minutes of your time, I would love to hear what are the core challenges that you're experiencing around X topic. If you have a community that helps diabetics lower their A1C, you might get on with them and be like, what have you tried already? What medications have you been on? Why are you wanting to get off of medications? Why do you want to do this naturally? Do you exercise regularly? What are the core challenges that you're facing in trying to lower your A1C? You're just getting all of this data by getting on some calls with people. I used to do these when I was first running my community. These days, I have a team member that takes a lot of our connection calls, and we call them free strategy calls. It's where we literally just get on and there is nothing for sale. People couldn't pay us even if they wanted to. Like, we wouldn't take their credit card even if they handed it to us on a silver platter, because we're so serious about making sure that their first connection with us is just a lot of value. Us giving them support, pointing them in the right direction, giving them some free resources, etc. And that's another great way to warm people up to who you are and the work that you do. And then lastly, or second to last, community engagement. This is where you will be responding to people's posts and commenting. And again, just going back to being impossible to ignore, be impossible to ignore in your own community. And then you can also send people DMs, welcoming them into the community, saying what's up, asking how this community could best support them, especially as you're getting started. You really want to get feedback from your community members. What do you guys want to see in here? What would best help you? What do you need? What are the challenges that you're facing? And the way that you can do that is by actually getting into conversation with them. Be a real human and connect with the humans that are coming into your world. And then if you have a high ticket coaching offer, which I recommend having that as you're first getting started, I think it's one of the things that can create more profit early on in a business. Maybe eventually you have some low ticket offers, and that's totally cool. I'm a big fan of that stuff as well. Having those as little appetizers down the road, but they're much harder to sell when you're first getting started. They might be equally as hard to sell, but much harder to create real profit in a coaching business if you don't have a higher ticket offer off the bat. Because think about this, and I'll cover this super, super quickly. If you have an offer for $100 and then you have an offer for $1,000, you have to sell 10 times the amount of the low ticket offer than just selling the high ticket. Now, I don't even consider $1,000 high ticket, but that's just to do some easy math here. So you really want to think about what is the high ticket offer. Again, going back to this, it needs to be a solid offer that solves a real problem that people would be willing to invest in. And you're going to get a lot of clarity around what that is by getting in connection with your people and having those market research calls, hearing about what have you tried already? Have you been willing to invest in this before? Tell me about the things that you have invested in, why they didn't work for you, or what did work about them. And then develop your offer around some of the data that you're collecting there. I personally don't feel like I sell anything. I invite people into experiences with me. I invite people into containers that I run. I invite people into retreats that I'm hosting. I invite people into one-on-one consulting work if they're a right fit for that. But I do not sell. I don't feel the need to push or pressure or convince anyone into anything. I don't think it's my job, and I really, frankly, don't care to do that. But I do create invitations. And I think this is a totally different energy, and an energy that I would really recommend that you think about how you can step into, where you create such a strong pull that you never have to push. The magnetism about who you are and how you show up and how you're supporting and serving other people, it becomes a no-brainer, especially if you tie that with a problem-solving offer, like an offer that's actually going to solve a real problem that they're having in their lives, one that's keeping them up at night, one that's taking away from the quality of their lives. Like, think about that stuff and how you can tie that in to a real offer that you can start getting in front of the right people. And that's what we call conversion. Once they're inside of that offer, we're talking about delivery, how to get them amazing results. This is about how you structure your containers, the touch points that they have with you, the level of accountability that they have with you. Is it in a community or is it just a one-on-one offer? And how do we want to structure that to make sure they're getting those results? This is where we really want to think about, if I want someone to say that they had an amazing experience with me and got exactly what they were looking for, how would I need to structure this in a way that facilitates that? You are not responsible for your clients, but you are responsible to them. It is important that you show up to the best of your ability to make sure that they get the best results that they possibly can. Now, what they do with the stuff that you provide is totally up to them, and that's not your responsibility. And then we talk about retention. This is kind of the last phase of a business model, is how to keep people around long term. A lot of people just think about creating clients and they don't think about how to then keep those clients for long periods of time. We have a container that technically people are, at least currently the way that it's set up, they're only contracted into Catalyst. That's our business mentorship program. They're only contracted for 4 months. But I will tell you, most of our clients stay for longer than that, even beyond their contract, because the relationship they have within the community and the results that they're getting are so good that they want to stay. And they want to stay for long periods of time. And a lot of our people stay around for a long time. It's incredible. And I think a lot of that, it's not just about the results. It really is about those relationships, the relationship they have with you, feeling like you actually care about them as a human being and not just a number and not just a result that you're able to then show as social proof on your social media and things like that, but truly as a human, that you care and you're willing to show up for them. And then as they develop deeper relationships with, if you're hosting like a group program or a community like this, the relationships they build with each other are also so important. And how to facilitate that stuff is a whole other topic for another day. But I want you guys to really be thinking about, if I'm going to create a program, how do I create it so good that people would feel dumb leaving? That it would be like, why would I ever leave this? This place is amazing. These are my people. This is my community. And a lot of that, again, comes down to those relationships and results. So this is the community journey, the community catalyst funnel. I don't know what to call it. We'll figure that out down the road. But this is really the journey of someone going from complete stranger to paying client by having community at the core of everything that you do, having a place where you can nurture them, warm them up to you. And then as you're understanding them and the problems that they have, you might say, I can help you. And here's how. I have this cool offer and it does exactly that. It does exactly what you're looking to overcome in your life. It solves the exact problem that you're saying that you have. Would you like to hear about it? And then, of course, as they've built trust with you and got to know you and spent more time with you, it's not going to feel weird, and it's not going to feel sleazy and salesy, because they actually now have a relationship to you because they are in your community space, not just a random follower that just stumbled upon your page that you're now trying to pitch into an offer. That is the difference. That is how we create some of this magnetic pull, is just by showing up, being a trailblazer in our spaces, by facilitating people coming together. The coolest part about this, and this is what I will leave you guys with, is a lot of this stuff starts online and it becomes so juicy that it then transitions to offline. People develop such cool relationships and connections with one another that they're like, let's meet up, let's hang out. I think that in the last week or two, I've gotten 3 different text messages of pictures of people in my community that have met up in real life. And it happens all the time, you guys. And additionally, we are actually going to be hanging out in Hawaii in December. I'm bringing a lot of the community members to Hawaii to have a retreat there. And we're going to hang out and do some cool excursions and have some business mastermind trainings and all kinds of fun stuff like that. And I'm telling you guys, that wouldn't be the same if this was not the journey that I'm walking people through, is actually coming into my community, getting to know me, getting to experience the other people in this space. Do you think people would want to come hang out in Hawaii with a bunch of like random strangers that they don't feel connected to? Maybe some people would maybe say like, yeah, let's send it, let's do it. But not everybody. A lot of people are going to want to feel like, I belong here. And of course I'm going to show up in Hawaii because those are my people. Let's go snorkel, let's go have some fun, let's go business mastermind, eat good food, and all of those things. So that is the community journey. Hopefully this has given you guys a lot to chew on. If you're interested in seeing how community is done and how I run my own, I'll go ahead and link in the description Nursepreneur Lab, which is my own community, and you're always welcome in there to hang out, to explore. If you want to just lurk around, you're welcome to lurk around, but ideally get engaged, make some friends, have some fun. That is what this is all about, and it has made business so much more fulfilling and exciting and fun for me. So sending you guys a ton of love. Hope this has been helpful. And if you haven't already, subscribe so you can keep following along for all of this cool shit that I want to continue to share with y'all. Catch you in the next one.